Hi. So I'm on chapter 3 of I think it's the first lab assignment, anyways, and it's talking about creating and storing strong passwords. So you see the instructions, and it talks about the strong passwords have 4 main requirements listed in order of importance. And you can see the user must be easy to remember. You don't want to write down your passwords. It is not trivial for any other person to guess a password. So basically, it shouldn't be the name of your kid or an anniversary or anything, any kind of a significant date. It is not trivial for a program to guess or discover a password. So there's all kinds of technologies out there that can guess your passwords pretty easily, running through thousands and hundreds of thousands of combinations. On a device as opposed to manually trying to figure that out. So you want it to be hopefully complex enough so a device won't be able to figure that out. Must be complex, containing numbers, symbols, and a mix of upper and lowercase letters. So we've all seen passwords where you got to have, this kind of letter, this kind of character, special character, but not this kind of special character. It is admittedly frustrating, having some things that work on some, and just everybody has different kinds of requirements. And it talks about this example of a password. It's like, there's no way you're going to remember that. Yeah. And that's just so long. It's so easy to get a typo. Like, no. And then many organizations require passwords contain a combination of numbers, symbols, and lower and upper case letters. Passwords that conform to this policy are fine as long as they are easy to remember. Easy for the user to remember. Below is a sample password policy for a typical organization. Must be 8 characters long, must contain upper and lower, must contain a number, and must contain a non-alpha new character. So basically a special character like the @ symbol or exclamation mark or something like that. So the assignment is take a moment to analyze the characteristics of a strong password and the common password policy set shown above. So this is the common password policy, and these are the characteristics for a strong password. Okay. And why does this policy neglect the first 2 items? So the first 2 items that this policy, which is right here, is saying that it's neglecting is this right here. The user can easily remember the password. My first thought is it's common sense. You want a password that you can remember. So I don't even know how to address that one, to be 100% honest with you. You don't want to write it down. You want it to be something that you can somewhat be able to recall. Well, not somewhat. You want to be able to recall it. Yeah. So why does the policy set neglect the first 2 items? Explain. Okay. I'm going to go with it's common sense. Well, you know what? This is where I kind of flopped a little bit, because I know it's common sense for me, but it's not necessarily common sense for everybody who hasn't worked in the field. So I'm going to take that back. So want to be, let's see. Why does the policy set neglect the first 2 items? I really don't know how to answer that question. Why does the policy set neglect the easy to be able to remember it? So maybe there should be something that it should be there. It's like, don't write it down, because maybe there are some people who aren't as familiar with some of the passwords and how the impact that they can have. So let's go to the second one. It is not trivial. Make sure it's not trivial for any other person to guess the password. So that's not addressed in here either. So this kind of made me think. So when I was looking at this, it kind of made me think of something that I worked with before in regards to AWS. So AWS has something called IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. And this is basically how you assign users to have certain roles. We talked about in the last week about the concept of the least privilege. And, every person has their role. For example, I don't need access to all of HR records. I don't need access to payroll. So basically you have a role, and then you have some privileges associated with. But what I wanted to point out here is password policy. So the password policy, and I believe this is default from AWS, is has to be 10 characters, requires one uppercase, requires one lowercase, and allow users to change their own password. And let's see. So I can actually change that password policy. Let's see what other options I have. So let's see. I can enforce the minimum password. It's 10 characters. Doesn't look like that's really an option for me to unselect. No, I can change the number of characters. Could change it to 1. Wouldn't recommend it, but I could. I could change it to 28. I think was the 128. Yeah, it'd be long. We don't want to do that. 10 works. 1 upper, 1 lower, requires at least a number, requires at least a non-alpha, enable password expiration. Basically, you get that annoying notification. It's like, yeah, reset your password. I'm like, allow users to change their own password, prevent password reuse. So this is the password policy. Or those are my options for a password policy. So let's see, it's got a new look. So set an account. You can set a password policy to specify complexity requirements and mandatory rotation periods for your IAM users. So these are the things that we talked about before. When you allow your IAM users to change their own passwords, IAM automatically allows them to view the password policy. IAM users need permission to view the account's password policy in order. Okay. Let's see. It gives you explanations. Okay. So I don't know. Let's see. Where was it? So it doesn't address these first 2 items, which was the question. Policy set neglect the first 2 items. Well, for one, and for what you just saw in AWS, there wasn't an option for me to select that. Neglect the first 2 items. So I guess basically what the policy does, tells you what you need to be in there. But I mean, this is really subjective, I think. This is the minimum requirements that we can actually call for and require. This is something that we can capture. Our system can't capture if something's trivial. Sometimes you'll see something, don't use your last name. I've seen that before on a couple of things. Don't use your name, can't include your name. So that does capture it in some things, but it's not available on the AWS. And the user can easily remember the password. You could probably put something on there like, don't write it down, make sure you can remember it, but I don't know. So why does policy set neglect the first 2 items? I would say because this is something that we could capture to make sure that it does have 8 characters, upper and lower, contain a number and a non-alpha, alphanumeric. But this is not something that we can capture in a system, whether it's trivial or easy to remember. There's no way a system's going to know that. So yeah, I think that's the best answer that I have right now for that. It says a good way to create strong passwords is to choose 4 more random words and string them together. Okay, so let's see. So passphrases. While many, let's see. Notice at the wall, the second password is in compliance because it's got the special characters and all that stuff. Password cracker programs are very efficient at guessing the type of password. While many password policy sets will not accept the first password, it is much stronger than the second. It is easier for the user to remember. And it's very long, and it's random factor, make it hard. Okay. Using an online password creation tool, create passwords based on common Okay. So I'm going to open that in a new tab. Okay, so create passwords based on the common company. Okay, this, which was right here, 8 characters. Upper and lower, number, and non-alpha. Okay, non-alpha numbers, lower, upper. It didn't really say that, so I'm going to take that off. Generate password. Okay, so it gives you something to kind of remember what it is. Honestly, don't think I'd remember that. Let's try another one. Yeah, so you can see how that works. I don't know if I'd like any of those, but you can see how that works. No. Using an online password creation tool, create passwords based on random words. Notice that because the words are appended together, they are not seen as dictionary words. Okay. Let's see. See, what I like passphrases too. I don't use them as much as I should, but I prefer passphrases that, you know, as opposed to something like this password generator. Let's see what we're supposed to do with this. Generate a random password by clicking generate another at the top portion. Let's see, is it easy to remember? It's a password phrase, so passphrase rather. Okay. So again, passphrases are better. And I actually like this one better. Best Day Palace. Okay. Let's see. Securely storing passwords. If the user chooses to use a password manager, the first strong password characteristic can be dropped because, which is the easy to remember. Notice that some users only trust their passwords to their own memory. Password managers, either local or remote, must have a password store, and it can be compromised. The password manager's password store must be strongly encrypted, and access to it must be tightly controlled. With mobile phone apps and web interfaces, cloud-based password managers provide anytime uninterrupted access to its users. So LastPass is a popular one, but I was thinking that it said that it had a breach, which kind of, dilutes the concept of why you would have that. Nullifies, not dilutes, sorry. So LastPass is one thing that you can do. I had a former colleague, he used to use LastPass. I don't know if he still does. So you create a LastPass account. I'm not doing that. What is a strong password then? Using the strong password characteristics given in the beginning of this lab, choose a password that is easy to remember but is hard to guess. Complex passwords are okay as long as it does not impact more important requirements, such as ability to easy to remember. Let's see, password managers used need to be easily remembered and can be relaxed. the need to be easily remembered can be relaxed. So basically, quick summaries: choose a password you can remember, to someone that doesn't associate with you, different passwords for different devices or services, and complex passwords are okay. As long as you can remember them. So that is the slap.